Whether you're making an online course, making marketing content, or filling a page with sales copy, it all starts from the same place. Staring at a blank screen while feelings of dread and despair fill your chest. I mean, writing. Everything starts with that blinking carrot line asking you when you're going to finally write that first word, mocking you, calling forth your deepest insecurities. Okay, maybe I'm being dramatic, or maybe I'm hitting the nail on the head. You might have guessed by now that this video is about that thing every writer struggles with at one time or another, writer's block. Ahead, I'm going to share 10 tips, many of which I use personally to overcome writer's block. Let's get into it. Hello creators, I'm bentoalson from Podia, where we empower creators like you to make a living doing what you love. The writer's block fairy can pay you a visit no matter how long you've been writing. And when it does, your experience could range from mild frustration to crippling insecurity. I've seen both ends of the spectrum. In this video, I'm going to take you through 10 tips for overcoming writer's block, including tips I use to write the script for this video. Tip number 1, establish a writing routine. One of the best ways you can set yourself up for success is to establish a routine around your writing. Your routine can be as simple as a specific time and place, or can include warm-up rituals that help prime your brain for writing. The purpose of the routine is to signal to your brain that it's time to be in writing mode. It takes advantage of the fact that your brain, for the most part, likes a certain amount of predictability, and given the right inputs, will get itself ready for things it expects to happen. William Faulkner is quoted as saying, "I only write when inspiration strikes." Fortunately, it strikes at 9 every morning. There's a clue in this quote about how routines actually work. The most effective routines are ones that are followed consistently, giving your brain cues that it's time to write, like a specific time of day, a specific spot in the house, even something like sitting down to write with your favorite cup of coffee, combined with following these routines consistently, are what make this technique so powerful. Tip number 2, remove distractions. Another way to set yourself up for success is to make your writing space a distraction-free zone. This means closing out other programs, turning off notifications, maybe clearing the clutter off your desk, putting a do not disturb sign on the door, whatever you need to do to ensure that your attention won't be pulled away from the task of writing. And don't just remove distractions, but also try to remove any potential for distraction. Communicate with the people in your home and let them know you're not to be disturbed during your writing block. Put your phone in another room altogether, and maybe even put on some headphones with some instrumental music. By doing these things, you're allowing your brain to ignore everything else and just focus on writing. Tip number 3, write about having writer's block. Where the first 2 tips were about optimizing your environment for writing, these next ones are going to be focused on some brain hacks. Free writing is an interesting trick you can play on your brain to get those creative juices flowing. Whether you can't seem to type the first word or you keep typing a new sentence and then deleting it, your fingers aren't moving the same way they do when you're in the zone and the words seem to just fall onto the page. When you're in a writing flow state, it feels like your brain and your fingers are a part of a feedback loop. The more words you share with your fingers, the busier they are on the keyboard. And the busier your fingers are on the keyboard, the more your brain just keeps the words coming. Sometimes the writing engine needs a jump start, and that's where this tip shines. Instead of trying so hard to put the right words on the page, just write about how hard it is to put the right words on the page. Write about having writer's block, about how frustrated you feel, about the things that are on your mind that might be distracting you. Before you know it, you might end up with hundreds of words on the page and suddenly find yourself able to write freely about your original topic. Tip number 4, start talking. This tip is similar to the previous one in that it takes advantage of feedback loops to jumpstart your writing engine. Dictating can be a great way to get started with your writing, especially if you're the kind of person who likes to think aloud. Hearing your own voice saying the words you want to write can prompt your brain to continue supplying words, and you might find that this method makes it even easier to put your thoughts down on paper. But Ben, I'm talking, not writing. How do I get these words down on paper? Great question. There are a few ways to do this. If you're pretty good at typing, you can type along as you speak. It's unlikely that you'll be able to keep up with your actual rate of speaking. We generally speak at an average of 125 words per minute, and professional writers usually clock in at about 75 words per minute on the high end. So the limitation of this technique is how fast you can type, which may end up causing you to repeat words or sentences as you go. But that's really not a bad trade-off if speaking aloud as you type helps you get unstuck. Another method is using dictation software. In most computing devices, there's some kind of dictation function built in, but one of my favorite apps out there for dictation is a service called Descript. Descript is an app that allows you to record, transcribe, edit, and mix audio, and it's a fantastic tool for dictation. You can either upload a recording of yourself speaking or speak directly into their app, and Descript will automatically create a typed version of your speech, including formatting. Finally, you could hire a stenographer to write for you as you dictate. A stenographer is someone who usually works in a court setting and writes in a special shorthand that allows them to achieve speeds of up to 225 words per minute. I mean, I don't know how desperate you are, but if that gets you writing, go for it. Tip number 5, write an outline instead. Sometimes the problem isn't that we don't know what we want to say, but that we don't know where to start. It might feel like your thoughts are a swirling, shapeless cloud, and our brains really like structure. When there's not a clear starting point or path ahead, it can create feelings of overwhelm. To calm that part of your brain that craves structure, write an outline or have a brainstorming session. When you take your swirling cloud of thoughts and put them down on paper or type them out in bullets, it becomes a lot easier for your brain to organize those thoughts and make decisions about what order your ideas should take. I really like putting my ideas down in a list format. Then I can take one item on the list at a time and just focus on that. So not only have I escaped the swirling cloud, but now I can write about one thing at a time without all of the other ideas competing for my attention. Tip number 6, change your device or medium. While it's usually good to have a specific tool for writing, sometimes the novelty of a different device or medium can stimulate our brains out of writer's block. Maybe that could look like going from your desktop to typing on your laptop, or maybe even your phone. Maybe it could look like going from typing in an app to writing with pen and paper. Sometimes switching it up for even just a few minutes can be enough to get you back into the flow once you return to your primary device. Tip number 7, change your location. Similarly, you can change where you're doing your writing. If you normally write at a standing desk, maybe you can try sitting down in a chair by the window. Or if you normally work in one room, maybe try a different room. This method can be especially powerful when combined with the previous one. It's like a game of Clue, but for writing. The blue chair in the library with the iPad. That was a dumb joke. Tip number 8, get the blood flowing. Sometimes the best thing you can do to overcome writer's block is to stop writing altogether and do something else. These last few tips are going to be about things you can escape to in order to take your mind off of writing long enough to get unstuck. Going out for a quick walk or jog or doing some other form of exercise can not only take your mind off of writing, but it also brings more blood flow to the brain, which gives your brain more energy and helps it to work more efficiently. Even when you're not focused on the writing task, your subconscious is constantly at work, making new connections and strengthening existing ones. The combination of increased blood flow and reduced stress makes this process even more efficient. This is why writers often get those eureka moments while out for a walk or a jog. Even if you don't get some unexpected inspiration or insight, you'll come back to the writing task feeling more relaxed and refreshed. Tip number 9, talk to a friend. Taking some time away from writing to talk with a good friend can help you feel more relaxed, understood, and encouraged. Connecting with people we care about has a calming effect on our minds and bodies. Sometimes we just need someone to listen and help us process through our frustrations or struggles. Sometimes we need someone to remind us that we're not failures just because we couldn't write a masterpiece today, and that the thoughts and ideas we have to share are still worthwhile, no matter how eloquently they come out. Not to mention, sometimes it helps to have someone to bounce our ideas off of. A conversation with a good friend can be a treasure trove of ideas and inspiration. So pick up that phone or do a Zoom call or send a text message or do like my mom does and tag your friend in a public Facebook post. Maybe don't do that. Tip number 10, play. You heard me correctly. Do something fun or interesting. Work on a puzzle, read a book, jump on a trampoline, organize your pantry if that's something you're into. If it takes your mind off of writing and helps you de-stress and relax, it has a good chance of helping you get unstuck. The trick with this tip is to find activities that keep your mind somewhat active. Passively watching TV or scrolling social media probably isn't the best way to engage your mind, but when it comes to things like playing an instrument, playing a board game, or rearranging your bookshelf in alphabetical order by author, go for it. These were our 10 tips for overcoming writer's block, though they certainly are not the only ways. Hopefully they gave you some inspiration and will help you get back to writing. Do you have methods that work for you that we didn't list in the video? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful and you want more content like this, click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you'll be sure not to miss any future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.